What's up, y'all? I just wanted to make another video. I made the last one on what's going on in the world of jiu-jitsu as far as flow grappling, CJI2, and Craig Jones. There's been a lot of developing information. So just to recap on where we left off, we were noticing that Craig had some hijinks with flow grappling, and we were trying to decipher what was going on. I was kind of one of the first, if not the first person to speak on this, and it has since been confirmed that Craig Jones is a part of flow grappling.
And I have just signed, I would say, and it's not saying much, the most lucrative contract in grappling history to now join forces and essentially take over Flow Grappling. So it's kind of a corporate takeover. So Flow Grappling hosted ADCC. They had the subscribers. I went on a malicious onslaught of an attack against ADCC, and as a result, Flow Grappling as well. We tore them down to a point of vulnerability that now the only person they could call for help was me, essentially a corporate takeover. And now they've basically given me the reins to save grappling.
So we can get that out of the way and move on to current events. So the big news in jiu-jitsu right now, as a lot of us saw coming, is the UFC getting involved in jiu-jitsu, which has been a controversial subject. UFC has announced UFC Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the world's premier jiu-jitsu live events. So it's basically much like the UFC, but specifically for jiu-jitsu. The inaugural event, UFC JiuJitsu 1, will take place on Wednesday, June 25th as part of UFC's International Fight Week. UFC's BJJ 1 event will be headlined by 3 title matches. Those matches will crown the 3 weight class champions: bantamweight at 135, lightweight at 155, and welterweight at 170. UFC's Jiu-Jitsu 1 will be broadcast live exclusively on UFC Fight Pass. They will also launch an 8-episode series called UFC Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Road to the Title. That's right, we're seeing a jiu-jitsu version of The Ultimate Fighter. UFC's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Road to the Title will air for free on UFC's YouTube channel daily at 12 Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time, beginning Monday, June 16th. Road to the Title, much like The Ultimate Fighter, will be composed of 2 separate teams with 2 separate coaches. These coaches are none other than Mikey Musumeci and rising star Harrison Gabriel. The athletes will compete in a tournament-style bracket to determine the finalists in 2 separate weight classes. And much like The Ultimate Fighter, on UFC's Jiu-Jitsu 1, both the coaches will face each other head-to-head in the main event. As far as the contestants go for this UFC Jiu-Jitsu champion and reality show, we have some pretty big names and rising stars, such as Andrew Tackett and Andy Varela. And of course, this comes with some controversy because of last year's CJI, obviously featuring the Tackett brothers, where I think a lot of us suspected they would be back for the sequel, considering how well that Andrew did. I've already started seeing a lot of back and forth because of this. In addition to having some of the big athletes from last year's CJI now on UFC's show and tournament, it brings a lot of other things into the conversation. Craig has been a spearhead in the movement to try to fight for athlete pay for jiu-jitsu competitors, as well as to persuade people not to sign exclusivity contracts. With the athletes who are now going to be on UFC, they without a doubt signed a contract that they would not be able to cross-compete. To add another layer to the controversy will be the arena style that the shows will take place in. One of the things that made CJI so different and unique was that exact thing, the style of the arena that the athletes would compete in, compromising of what's called the pit. And if I understand it correctly, Craig Jones worked with Karate Combat, who was the first one to use the pit, and they came together to patent the pit. It has been revealed in UFC BJJ content that they have something very similar, which leads a lot of people to believe that they got the idea from Craig Jones or CJI or Karate Combat. Some could argue it's not exactly the same, there are differences. CJI's pit is more of a square shape and it does have edges and corners, whereas UFC's bowl is more of a rounded fight space. Of course, in typical fashion, Craig Jones has been going scorched earth on social media, trolling the hell out of UFC and anyone that is supporting what they're doing. Craig Jones has insinuated that there is a potential real lawsuit there. He has also called out many athletes who kind of switched up on him, where they had supported the CGI movement and now have become company men of the UFC. It can also be seen him exchanging comments on UFC's post with Andrew Tackett, as Andrew Tackett defends UFC and their bowl, it being different, and the different advantages fighting in the two different style of arenas. I personally do subscribe to Fight Pass because there's been a lot of invitationals that I wanted to watch. All that aside, what do you guys think? Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Of course, this is going to bring more eyes and attention to the sport. Obviously, this is going to grow the sport. But the biggest concern, I think, for most is how it is going to become a monopoly. How, when a company as massive as UFC, TKO Holdings gets involved, and they take the whole market on jiu-jitsu, much like the UFC took the whole market on MMA, it leaves a lot of people concerned that athletes are not going to get the fair pay, which has been one of the biggest complaints. When you work for an organization as large as the UFC, you do get exposure. You are able to make a huge career. You do have a lot of opportunities. But a lot of people say that it traps you in a specific bracket of income that you could make from these fights. And then obviously, because of the contract, you're not able to go and compete other places to make additional money. So I will be tuning in for this, but I'm very curious to see how this plays out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll be back to discuss it as more details unfold. Remember, the first rule of jiu-jitsu is you always talk about jiu-jitsu. I want to say thanks for your support. If you could like, subscribe, share this with a friend, I really appreciate it. Also, if you notice the shirt I'm wearing today and you like this, it's called Matt Mobster by my brand Chokes and Subs. You can go to stickermule.com/chokesandsubs, all spelled out, or go to Instagram @chokesandsubs and send me a DM and I can get you a link. Free shipping throughout the US. It usually comes in a couple days. If you're outside of the US, send me a DM on Instagram and we'll figure out how we can get it shipped to you. Once again, thanks for your support. I'll see you guys next time.